what is mining and who or which are the miner nodes. So if you see a full node that also aggregate validated transaction to a candidate block is called a is basically meant for mining. So a full node that also aggregate the validated transaction, they are meant for mining. So your miners compete to win the right to create a new complete block by solving a complex mathematical problem, and these problems can be solved through the proof of work, proof of concept algorithm. So there are various complex mathematical algorithms used for solving it across. So when the miner succeeds in finding the solution, the first thing is the candidate blocks become a new valid block. So, if a miner has been able to find a solution, at a quickest time, that block will become the first valid block. And the person who has found it across, he would be rewarded in form of those cryptocurrencies or those bitcoins. So your miners are rewarded with the kind of tokens or currencies. So they are rewarded with tokens for each block they mine and for the transactions in that block. So if you have mined certain transactions, or if you have mined certain blocks, then you will be rewarded accordingly in form of those tokens. So that's a bit in nutshell about mining or the miners. So now, what role has mining in a blockchain? So certainly the purpose of mining is to secure the blockchain history. So you want to ensure that your miners or the mining nodes are there so that you can secure the overall history of blockchain network. And fundamentally, your traditional currencies, as we call, are controlled by government and the central bank. But then in your blockchain currency, these are all secured or stored, or they are ensured the security through the likes of mining nodes. So your cryptocurrency is very different, and the algorithm, or rather the rules that governs the blockchain, are in charge of creation of these new cryptocurrency. The overall algorithm, as we call, the algorithm facilitate the role of a central bank by either rewarding miners with new cryptocurrency, or by restricting the issuance of new coins when the competition is high. So the use of these algorithm, they facilitate, they works like a central bank who try to reward the miners with any kind of new cryptocurrencies, and they also ensures the kind of competition being maintained in the overall network. So that's how the mining is an important aspect in blockchain network. So now let's try to see what is mining. So your traditional currencies that are controlled by government, such as US dollars, euros, or yuan, they are created and distributed by central banks. So each country has a central bank. So if you see each and every country, so in the US there's a Federal Reserve. So in Japan there's a central bank which controls the overall yuan. Similarly, in China, there is also some of the central authority for controlling it. So each country has a central bank that has the right to issue new money or new currency. So often it is basically done to improve or simulate the kind of economy. So the central bank job is to keep the country's money supply in check and balance, to control the overall supply of money, so that economy for that country is strong and competitive in nature. So your cryptocurrency, as we call, is very different. The algorithms which we use are relatively different. So cryptocurrency is certainly different. So the algorithms, or rather the rules that governs the blockchain, are in charge of creation of new cryptocurrency. Your algorithm facilitate the role of central bank, and they facilitate by providing the rewarding mechanism to the miners by either rewarding the miners with the new cryptocurrency, or restricting the issuance of new coins when the competition is too high. So mining does three main things. So they create new cryptocurrency, they confirms the transaction, and they help in securing the overall blockchain history. So miners or mining nodes have a great role to play. So now, what is hashing, or what is hash? So hash, as we call, is a one-way mathematical proof of data. So it creates a digital fingerprint of information, and it basically allows you to take a data input of any size and produce a fixed length output. So let's assume you have a plain text which is of, say, 256 bit long or byte long, but then when you pass it through the hash function, the output would be, say, fixed 32 bytes. So your hashing function ensures you to convert the data into a fixed length. So each time the input changes, the hash outcome is different. So if you give the different input to the hash function, your output would be different. So as we say, hash function is used to secure all the data in the block of the transaction. So that's how your hashing function is basically meant for securing the data. So these are the key features of hash. So key features of hashes, as we say. So here are some key features of hashes. So your all the hashes are deterministic in nature. So it means that no matter how many times a block is run through that hash function, you will always get the same result. So it means your hashes are deterministic in nature. So every time you will get the same output when the same data passes through the hash function. The second feature of hashing is your hashes are easy for nodes to compute. So think of think of hashes as a Sudoku puzzle, right? So they are like Sudoku puzzle. So it's easy to see that puzzles are getting solved correctly, but it's difficult to reproduce it. So once you have the puzzle solved, you cannot reproduce back the puzzle. So that's how hash are like easy to they are easy for nodes to compute, but then you cannot recreate the whole thing again. So hashes must be very sensitive to the change in data input. If there is any kind of data input which has changed, your hash has to be sensitive. Your data input which has changed, your hash function has to result in a different output. So any change to the blockchain record will create a completely new different hash. So hashes must be what is known as collision resistance. So this means that it is practically impossible to create the same hash from the two different set of data. So the data which you feed in, you cannot have the practically same hash generated from it. So that's the property of hash. So it is having a property of collision resistance, so that the any kind of any kind of clash cannot happen, and it cannot then generate the same set of data.